Understanding the nuts and bolts of sleep biology can honestly get you and your responsive sleep clients massive results. I love talking about it because it's often the way to see big results with minimal drama. Andrea, one of our graduates, recently shared a success story of a client with twins, sharing that they both slept through the night last night. Sleep biology and fine-tuning schedules work. It's absolutely what we're here for. Amazing results with no unresponsive sleep training. If that's your jam too, then don't move, because I'll be digging into one specific area of sleep biology that makes a massive impact on families. I'm Lindsay, Clinical Director of the Holistic Sleep Coaching Programme, and I'm proud to have trained over 600 professionals who all really understand sleep biology, enabling them to achieve success without resorting to non-responsive sleep training. I'm always talking about sleep biology. If you have bad memories of science classes as a child, then the term sleep biology can give you the shivers or remind you of being sent to sleep at the back of the class. But fear not, this is not a dusty, dry subject, but a fascinating and game-changing aspect of sleep support. If you love this subject, then don't miss our earlier video exploring several key aspects of sleep biology, and we've linked that below for you. When I talk about sleep biology, what do I mean? Well, it could be aspects of circadian rhythm, the impact of the environment or someone's chronotype. It could be shining a light on sleep pressure and the interplay between the circadian rhythm and homeostatic control of sleep. It could be regulation and the stress response and how that impacts sleep. I could be talking about sensory regulation and neurodivergence and the impact on sleep. It could even be genetics and epigenetics of sleep and how that affects sleep patterns, behaviours and habits. To be a highly effective holistic sleep coach, you need to know about all of that. But since time is short, today I'm just going to talk about one aspect of sleep biology. It's often the first thing I teach our newly enrolled students. It makes a massive difference to families, and it can sometimes bring about improvements in sleep instantly with no stress or tears. Have you guessed yet? It's sleep needs and sleep totals. Why do I start here? Well, because it shapes the next move. It guides our thinking. One of the biggest fundamental questions when you support a family with sleep is this child's sleeping pattern meeting their needs? Of course, there are lots of other questions. Questions like, is this sleep situation sustainable? Is there an underlying problem causing this sleep pattern? Is this sleep pattern optimal? And so on. But before we get any further with wondering how we can rule out underlying pathology or how we can improve the family's quality of life, the much more important question is whether the child is getting enough sleep to meet their needs. If we don't know the answer to this question, we can't begin to make adjustments elsewhere. So why does this matter so much? Some of the easiest changes to make are around bedtime and nap timings. Adjusting these can dramatically improve the number of nighttime wakes, daytime behaviour, early rising, long protracted bedtimes, false starts and split nights. And this doesn't upset anyone. There's no crying, there's no stress for parents, it's easy, quick and it works. But only if you know what you're talking about. So how to figure this out? Well, you start by having a broad understanding of the variation in sleep needs. This is where you'll need to put aside preconceived ideas that have been popularised by the mainstream sleep training industry. Many mainstream sleep trainers, and consequently a lot of information on social media, reports some pretty unrealistic and unachievably high sleep timings that are not based on global averages. This is where recommendations for 12 hours of overnight sleep plus lengthy naps comes from, and it's not evidence-based. We need to start off by understanding that there is a range of normal sleep totals. The amounts of sleep a child needs varies by their age, their culture, genetics, and health needs. Look, I know a one-size-fits-all sleep recommendation would be so much easier to remember, but you'll be setting your clients up to fail. When you look at large population-level studies, the range is huge. An often cited study by Hershkovitz and colleagues suggests a range of 14 to 17 hours sleep in 24 hours for newborns, falling to 12 to 15 hours for children 4 to 11 months, and falling further to 11 to 14 hours for children from 1 to 3 years. A more recent study found even more variation. The Parvanen study found that at 3 months the range of total sleep in 24 hours was 6 to 20 hours, with an average 24-hour total of 14.4 hours, including just 9 hours of overnight sleep. These studies are important. The takeaway is that mainstream sleep media suggests children need high amounts of sleep as standard, but we know from the Parvanen study that in an 8-month-old child, for example, the normal range is 8 to 21 hours, with an average of 13 hours in 24. Now, if you're working with a low sleep need child and you're trying to aim for 12 hours of overnight sleep with 2 naps, one of which you think needs to be 2 hours, you're trying to get a child who may only need 8 hours to get 15 hours. Not only is this ridiculous for a low sleep need child, but it's even a high amount for an average sleep need child. Remember that the average at this age is 13 hours, not 15. So going back to our 8-month-old as an example, let's say all you've been taught and read suggests an 8-month-old needs 12 hours of overnight sleep, a 45-minute morning nap, and a 2-hour lunchtime nap. Now, if you're keeping track, that's nearly 15 hours in total. We compare that to the average, which is 13 hours, including on average just under 10 hours of overnight sleep. By the way, the study also found that 1 to 3 night wakes was average, so we're not talking about 10 hours of unbroken sleep here, but 10 hours of sleep with some wakes for feeds. If you try and get that child to sleep 2 extra hours at night when they don't need it, I can pretty much guarantee that one of 5 things will happen. 1, you'll have a long and frustrating bedtime. 2, they'll fall asleep but wake up soon after and repeatedly wake up in the early evening. 3, they'll initially sleep well but then wake up for 2 hours or so in the small hours of the morning. 4, they'll have numerous night wakes. Or 5, they'll wake up at the crack of dawn. Of course, that's before we consider the stress, loss of confidence and frustration that this would cause the parents, or the lack of congruence between infant behaviour and accurate interpretation of infant cues, and the subsequent missed opportunity to teach parents about attuned, responsive, cue-based caregiving. It makes parents feel like they're getting something badly wrong, or that their baby is some kind of deviant, or both, and it's unnecessary. So what's the alternative? When we know about the normal ranges, we can start off by being open-minded about how much sleep is ideal for the child right in front of us. Children are brilliant at giving us clues about whether the sleep they're getting meets their needs. A child who isn't getting enough sleep isn't subtle about it. They'll be falling apart, showing clear signs of tiredness, falling asleep very easily. They're difficult to wake up and they want to go back to sleep. They fall asleep at times they should be awake, and they're cranky and dysregulated. Just like us, really. By contrast, a much more common scenario is the child who is getting enough total sleep or even too much sleep opportunity. This often happens because parents have, with the best intentions in the world, unrealistic sleep expectations. They genuinely believe their child is not getting enough sleep and is tired. Now, of course, the sleeping pattern might not be sustainable or difficult to manage for the parents, but this is not the same thing as insufficient sleep. We need to make that distinction clear. I have a clear 5-step pathway for you to follow. Look at how much sleep the child is getting in 24 hours. Consider how the child is coping with the sleep they're getting. Consider the pattern. What's the amount of sleep in the daytime versus the night? Are either naps or nights the bigger reported problem? Is the sleep distributed in a way that seems sensible? Does the child fall asleep within 30 minutes of attempting a nap or bedtime every time? If you suspect this child is getting too much sleep opportunity, then pull it back to an age-appropriate amount. That might mean dropping a nap, stopping the urge to extend naps when a child wakes or make bedtime later. Or if you feel the problem is more around the distribution of sleep, then you'll need to consider the timing of naps, cut naps, introduce power naps, or adjust the number of naps. You still might need to make bedtime earlier or later as appropriate. Then try your sleep changes for up to a week. Some changes may give immediate results, while others that are very specific and linked with the child's circadian rhythm may take a little longer. At the end of a reasonable time frame, reevaluate the child's sleep objectively with the family and make any adjustments as necessary. So there we have it, one aspect of the big picture of sleep biology that can really turn a sleep crisis around with absolutely no non-responsive sleep techniques at all. If you're interested in working in a way that is science-backed, responsive and holistic, then we would love to hear from you. The first step is to book a call and see if we're a good fit. All you need to do is click the link below this video. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Speak to you soon.